As soon as we can. Listen, it was one of those, wasn't it? It's not the greatest game of football we've ever watched, but Michael Bridges and Simon Grayson in the studio with us. Is it really just a case of it's a good point on the road and we'll move on to the next?
Yeah, definitely. Look, it wasn't a great spectacle. I think everybody would agree on that. Not many chances. I don't think either goalkeepers had apart from the Burnley goalkeeper made a good save from Dan James late on in the game, but it wasn't a great spectacle. Teams cancelling each other out, the sort of nervousness about both teams. Maybe the weather, the conditions played a part in it all. But the positive it's another valuable point. If they'd won tonight, it would have put more pressure on us. It's another point away from Sheffield United and Sunderland as well. So yeah, I think it's a positive all round.
Both teams are happy with that point. Like you say, the game wasn't the top of the table at the Championship clash that you would imagine, but you can see why Burnley, when you watch that performance today from them, you can see why they've kept so many clean sheets, because they do really nullify teams to opportunities and shots on target. And you're coming up against a Leeds team that have created so many chances this season, and I think that's what's so impressive from Burnley's side of it defensively. However, I wouldn't like to watch them every week. No, I couldn't take that.
When you're playing a game like that, and you mentioned the conditions there, I mean, we heard the wind howling on the microphones at some points.
We heard Bryn moaning, you know.
Yeah, well, that aside from the LUTV staff complaining on the gantry, but it is difficult to play in those conditions. We shouldn't sort of underestimate that. I mean, there was one moment, wasn't there, a long kind of goal kick through from Meslier that actually nearly fell into the path of Manuel Solomon, didn't it? Yeah.
And I think a better touch, he would have got that, but you can see why. I was saying about the weather could make an impact for strikers when it's wet and greasy. We want to take shots, test the goalkeeper. We didn't threaten the goalkeeper enough. I think only one on target. That Simon mentioned there. But the weather conditions did definitely affect that game in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you mentioned about the point gained in the context of everything else that's happened this weekend with Sheffield United losing to Hull, by 3-0, which I don't think many people saw. Sunderland drawing with Plymouth there, right down there at the bottom of the table, and they get a point late on against Sunderland. Actually, it's a point gained for this weekend.
But Simon keeps his record as well, by the way.
Oh yeah, we did.
That's immaterial.
It can be drawn at the weekend now, and you can have parity.
No, but in terms of the table, if every team, which isn't going to be the case, but if every team nearly gets 100% record of points, we get promoted. You know what I mean? I know we're going to be playing teams around us the odd time, but it is another point. Our goal difference is good. We're 4 points clear now of Burnley, and that's sort of in terms of that goal difference as well. It's disappointing because you're looking for a overall bigger picture of can the team play really well, can they play the entertaining football, but sometimes you're away from home on a Monday night, poor conditions, you've got to dig deep, you've got to make sure you don't get beat, and the old saying is win your home games and pick up points away from home, you get promoted.
So you've said that it was a must not lose game, and we've gone there, and like you say, chances at a minimal, but coming away with a point. I think if you'd have asked me prior to go there, I wanted all 3 points obviously, but to go to Burnley, who have got that defensive record, to come away with a point, like Simon says, it's about winning our home games from this moment in.
And seasons are all built on little milestones, aren't they? Leeds become the first team this season to hit 60 points. It's another little milestone there. Within 29 games, that's more than that 2 points a game that we talk about, and Daniel Farke talks about specifically. But it's nice to be the first team to you look at the table, it's the first 6 you see, the other ones are all on a 5. It's nice, the players will look at the table and they can see, look, what we've achieved so far this season.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about just grinding results out. As I previously mentioned, you're not going to be able to play free-flowing football, win 3-0, 3-0, 2-0 every week. You've sometimes got to pick up the odd point where you really dig deep, you're away from home against a good team. That could be a valuable point come the end of the season.
And it was a grind, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a grind watching it, never mind.
I don't think anyone's pretending it was the greatest game of football we've ever seen in the Sky Bet Championship. Let's take a look at a few of those opportunities, half chances maybe, that came for Leeds in the second half. And Jayden Bogle, who was central to a lot of the good stuff in the first half, and in recent weeks really for the team, he was the one getting in and amongst it, trying to make things happen.
And as a fullback, it's nice to know that we have that option from the fullbacks. You can see he gets himself in an area here where, once again, he had a few opportunities in the first half. He gets that chance, he doesn't hit the target. I know it was given for offside, but it's good to see that a fullback is having some impact in the game. And I think that's what Daniel Farke's tactics allow that to happen. And I think it doesn't matter who's playing any fullback position this season. I think they've all really relished the opportunity because Furbo's got himself a few assists. It was good to see him back on the bench today. Sam Byam's always filled in the right areas, got a couple of goals as well. So I think that's because of the way Daniel Farke allows his fullbacks to play, and Bogle, I thought, had a very good game because he was involved in a lot.
He's obviously full of confidence as well, because that's dropping down on the volley, thinking I'm going to have a smash at this. It hasn't gone in the back of the net. The offside flag went up, but
his first chance. It
was getting closer, that's for sure. Let's take a look at a second opportunity as well in this second half for Jayden Bogle, who, like we say, was a lot of the good stuff came through that side and came through him. And a tricky one here. Ended up surrounded by quite a lot of players, Simon.
Yeah, look, Daniel encourages fullbacks to get forward and ricochets to Jayden, who sort of finds his way into that box, into the areas. And yeah, he wants to get his shot off. Ramazani, if you just see to the left of the screen, he's probably screaming. But again, look how many defenders Burnley have got back there. It's not an easy opportunity. But again, on another day, he maybe gets his shot off a little bit quicker, or there isn't as many defenders around, and that's testament to Burnley.
I was screaming that he had a shot. I was going, you had to find Ramazani. When you see that clip back again, like Simon says, there was a lot of defenders once again around the player on the ball. It would have been tough to find Ramazani there, but again, I just got to credit Burnley for the defending. Once again, they just really suffocated us in that penalty area in the final third, and we didn't have somebody to unlock a door.
In a game that lacked clear-cut chances, you always say that thing, don't you, in football? Someone will get a chance. Someone will get a chance. Something will happen. For a long time, we thought it wouldn't, and then we thought maybe this was going to be the moment. From the corner, Dan James with a beautiful technique of a shot here. I mean, talk us through this, Bridgie, because from a striking point of view,
the technique, the balance he shows, and especially with the greasy surface, the way it skids up. I mean, it's a lovely height, but to be able to get yourself side on, you can see he's opened up the body. The laces are down. And Trafford, once again, I mean, one shot on target this game. I always look at goalkeepers when they've had a quiet game and they haven't had a lot to do in games, and then they're one split moment in a game where you've got to react. And obviously he was ready for that in that moment there. So fair play to both of them. It was such a good technique to get the shot on target. And Trafford once again showing why he's kept so many clean sheets.
And Dan will be absolutely gutted, won't he? Because the first half chance was a lot easier than that chance, and he didn't even work the goalkeeper, and that probably just summed up the way the game had gone as well.
Yeah, it was one of those. I did, when it left his boot, I did think, hello, is this, it sort of goes in slow motion, is this going to be the moment? But not to be tonight. But plenty of positives to take out of it, though, Bridgie, in terms of taking into this next run. It's a home game, of course, coming
next
up
run
next.
Of games, like I say, home games here. The absolute fortress. Love watching the attacking style of Leeds, the way we play. The fans get behind it. But even tonight, the substitutes couldn't make an impact in the game to change it and affect it, because Burnley was such a good, well-organised team defensively. So again, travelling fans, point gained away. They wouldn't have enjoyed watching that, but it's a huge, huge point for me. Yeah,
we'll bring you reaction, of course, from Turf Moor as soon as we can do that. Next game, of course, is here at Elland Road against Cardiff, and then a tricky. These games are coming thick and fast now. It's 6 in the space of the next 4 weeks,
FA Cup game in there,
and the FA Cup game in there as well against Millwall. So there really is no respite for the players. They had a couple of weeks where they had just a little break after that FA Cup game, and then a little bit more time to prepare. But now it is one after the other after the other.
It's and that's what we want.
Yeah, that's the championship for you, isn't it? Saturday, Tuesday, and the good thing is that they've had sort of the break physically and mentally where they weren't playing for a couple of midweek games, but now they're going into this game refreshed. A good, strong squad available. It's more in time. Looks like probably not picked up any injuries tonight. Maybe Strike comes back in the next few weeks as well. I think they'll be when you're winning and confident, you just want to play Saturday, Tuesday, or Saturday. When you're losing, believe me, you don't want to play Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, Pascal's back. You said Firp was on the bench again. Rothwell didn't get on. We've seen the impact from Ramazani came on. So the squad depth. I think that we are well geared up. Like you say, another milestone, the 60 point, not the 60, the 6 point milestone there. And I just think with the squad that we have going forward for the rest of the season, the games can't come quick enough, man.
Okay, let's head over to Turf Moor, where slightly confusingly, with Ant and Deck, they're normally always on the same side, but today we have Tony and Bryn rather than Bryn and Tony. A little bit confusing, but let's get their reactions full time at Turf Moor after that goalless draw.
Got a little bit to talk about in terms of the outcome there, and we've got, I don't know, Ethan Ampadu who's just arrived. He says, am I meant to be here? And the answer is yes. So, welcome, Ethan. Thanks for coming. We were just about, it's been a tough night out there, and I imagine the conditions didn't help in terms of the game, did they?
No, but that's football. We've had a few games this year where conditions have been like that. Maybe the goal kicks go a little bit longer than normal, so you've got to deal with it. But the weather is what it is. You can't change it, so you just have to get on with it.
What's the feeling at the end of that one? Does it feel like a good point?
Yeah, when you think about it, I think we hold ourselves to such high expectations. We wanted to go out and win. Maybe in the first half we showed them a little bit too much respect with how they defend. You know, they've only conceded 9 for a reason. They're hard to break down. They're hard to play against. They're good at what they do. But maybe we would like to have shown a little bit more. Maybe that little 2% bit more energy from all of us. But yeah,
You didn't threaten at all, though. Defensively, you did well. You were solid there at the back, weren't you?
Yeah, all of us, we had to switch on. We know they done us with a counter-attack in the home game, so we know that their transitions were big for them. So it was all about trying to cut them out. We did, happy with a clean sheet away here. It's a good point, but because of our expectations, it's natural to be a little bit not down, but if you know what I'm trying to get at.
I think we controlled the game, didn't we? That's the most important thing. We looked the better side. Defences were simply on top. I thought you really controlled them to very little attacking efforts.
No, of course that was our game plan. We wanted to do that. That sets a tone from no matter what game we play. We want to keep a clean sheet and then building out of our attacking play. Like I said earlier, today we just missed that little bit of final edge from all of us. Maybe we could have done a little bit more from set pieces. But maybe, as you said, it's a good point at the end. But now there's still a long way to go.
Pushes you a little point further on from Sheffield United, keeps Burnley the same distance away. We're getting to the stage soon where all these things become a little bit more important, don't they?
I mean, they're important now. We saw that last year. We went on a good run and managed to come back, but earlier on results and maybe results around the Christmas period put us a little bit too far away. So as much as the perceptions, the running, everything's important now.
Well done. Good point.
Thank you.
Go and
Thanks,
get warm.
Ethan.
Well done, mate.
Thank you.
Well done.
We don't have the chance to go and get warm just yet because we're told we've got to keep going. Now that might be because there isn't an awful lot to talk about by way of highlights tonight, is there? Goal chances were very much at the premium.
They were, and that's why you heard Ethan there, that just slightly disappointed. And I suppose that's the standards and our expectations, and the way that we played as well. Because we've come to a team who haven't lost at home. We dominated. We looked good. They had very little attacking threat at all, which I was a little surprised at, because this is their big opportunity at home to try and really peg us back. But they never looked like capable of doing that. Yet they were very structured, disciplined. But you'd like a little bit more from us going forward. Half chances here and there, got into some good positions on the pitch, but we didn't do enough with them.
The hope was that it was going to be that one big moment, I think, wasn't it? Dan James almost provided that one late on in the game, just looking and waiting and hoping that was going to materialise.
Yeah, and he had a good chance in the first half as well, where he just screwed it across the goal. But when you get teams like that, you're not going to get many chances, and you have to produce. And unfortunately, tonight we couldn't do that.
So there is a little disappointment at the fact that they couldn't go on to the next step and win the game. Nevertheless, in the position Leeds are in, the point works well, doesn't it?
No, it certainly does. That's right, and they will be disappointed. But they are now with the mindset, well, we can go and win every single game. But they didn't do that. They didn't play to their maximum, which I think will give them a bit more fire in the belly if they ever needed it, for the next game, because they're going to put it right, and they will go out and I'm sure get the 3 points.
Now I'm hoping that Daniel Farke's going to come out quite quickly here, because at least if you haven't got much to talk about in the studio, you are in the warmth. We are not.
Oh, bleeding hearts here,
Look at
lads.
the findings after
Absolutely.
Burnley.
It does look. It does look a little bit shivery and cold there.
Great to
At
see.
Turf Moor.
Great determination from the boys.
Absolutely, they are ploughing through, is what they're doing. As soon as Daniel Farke is ready, of course, we'll bring that to you here on Matchday Live. Interesting to hear from Ethan there. Actually, I think maybe what we haven't done enough is actually focus on a couple of the positives. It's another clean sheet. It takes us to 12 unbeaten now. These are no mean feats to go away there to get a clean sheet at a top team in the division and to extend that unbeaten run.
Look, there's two sides to the game. There's scoring goals and there's keeping clean sheets. And that's a clean sheet tonight against Norwich, Sheffield Wednesday, I think it was Harrogate before that, was it? And maybe, I can't think it was more, but there's been at least 4 where they've got clean sheets. And that's testament. You've got to keep your concentration. And again, against Burnley, Norwich have put 5 past Swansea at the weekend. Sheffield Wednesday looked sort of quite potent. So again, both sides of the game, if you're not going to win it, you make sure you don't lose it. And that's where the concentration, the level of quality defending, when you need to defend, you have to defend.
Do you know what was nice to see as well? Ethan Ampadu there, chatting. As a manager, an ex-manager, and seeing a player like that, it looked like it was like a loss. it's a great point. But to see somebody how much it hurts like that, I think that's a positive sign, because it's a point that we're happy with. I know he's happy, but did you see what he was trying to say there?
I think because he's the captain and they've got such high expectancy levels and standards of training and match days, that they're probably not pleased with how they've played and created, where the last few weeks it's been chances, goals, left, right and centre. But sometimes you can't do that, and you've got to give opposition the credit. They're third in the table of Burnley, and they've our back four and goal kickers never had a save to make. So sure, you give them credit for being defensively good, and you can be critical of your own team sometimes, but it's part and parcel of football what the opposition are doing against you as well. But I think they'll all be quite pleased deep down.
And when you look at the table and you look at those 4 teams that are up there, Sheffield United, couple of points behind them, Burnley 1 more point than Sunderland on 55. Actually, we've got those teams coming up. So Burnley was the first of these in the space of 4 and a bit weeks. We've got Sunderland to play here at Elland Road. We've got Sheffield United to play at Bramall Lane. You know that if you don't let those teams take those points off you, then effectively it's in our hands. It's what we do with the rest of the season. We will return to that in just a moment, because we don't want to leave the guys waiting any longer. Leeds United manager Daniel Farke is ready to have a chat with us here on LUTV.
Thanks, Rich. Yes, we have the manager with us. Daniel, is that a good point for you tonight?
Yes, we played here under tough conditions. One of the best sides in this league, unbeaten since ages, in a difficult away game. So a point here on the road, especially with a clean sheet, is always a good point. So a good result for us, no doubt about this. Could have been a bit more convinced and committed in the final third in our situations, then it could be even better. But especially under this conditions, such a tough away performance, away game, then a really, really solid performance. We denied them to the absolute minimum. They had no chance, more or less, during the whole game. Pretty happy with this. Again, could have done a bit better in the final third, in the commitment and being convinced in our situations, but overall a good point.
Did you feel there was any point in the game where you could see that coming, where the moment you felt was maybe materialising?
Well, we had even in the first half situations like Daniel James. I would say normally 8 out of 10 situations he scores from this ankle. Perhaps a bit too nervous in this spotlight game. Also built up in midfield play. We came in many good situations. So it was just more or less the case to be a bit better prepared. For example, second half, a cross comes in, and then Brendan Aronson was surprised that the ball fall in front of his feet. If you're a bit better prepared, if you anticipate the situation a little bit better, and you're not surprised that the ball comes to you, I think then you can be there with a better first touch and score a goal. This is something we can be a bit self-critical to in our offensive positions, to anticipate, to smell the situations a bit better, especially once you play against such a well-defending side. So not even double figures conceded goals in nearly 30 games. It's crazy, but to anticipate the situations better, to be a bit quicker in the head. This is something what we spoke about at halftime. Yes, have not fulfilled it on the pitch in order to score a goal out of this. But overall, so it was also a game where not one team was there with a mistake, and then it ends up 0-0, and we take it.
I thought we defended extremely well. We limited them to very little. A couple of headers in the first half, and that's about it. So really impressive defensively.
Yes, perhaps 2 half chances out of headers, but not really a chance anyhow. So it's complicated because they always play with a dropping striker, and then their midfield players use it, especially Brownhill with the Channel 1. This is how he has scored 9 goals. Or we needed today lacks at physicality in midfield in order to control the situation. We didn't. The players AO and Ilya did excellent in this terms. Again, the only thing that was a bit missing, more like in the final third of the opponent, but it was always a complicated game also in this terms because we played against such a good, well-defending side. Yes, our defending behavior was spot on, and for that we deserve also the point, perhaps even a bit more today.
It's a good point in terms of position in the table, isn't it? It keeps Burnley where they were, and it's a point further on against Sheffield United.
Yes, good point for the table, but also like, of course we play each and every game in order to win, but if you then don't have your best day in the offense to use the chances, then you have to make sure that you grab important points. So I mentioned this several times. So even when once we are disappointed, of course we're disappointed with a 3-3 at Hull. Yeah, but overall sometimes you also think a point away at Hull there could be worse results anyhow when you have a look on this game day. So don't underestimate the point sometimes. So it's important. You can't win them all, and especially against one of the best sides who had also momentum, many games unbeaten. A point is pretty valuable, and keeps us further on in a good position.
All happy. Go and get that coat on now, Daniel. It's cold, isn't it?
Let's all go and get warm. Good stuff. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go, Daniel Farker, Bryn and Tony, full coats, jackets, beanie hats, gloves, the lot. Daniel just walks out in a jumper.
Yeah, it just shows the softies them too. Soft.
Okay, it's a point at the end of the day tonight, which I think we've established is hopefully going to be a good point come May. Let's just very briefly just look ahead to what lies in store. Cardiff at home and then Coventry away. Cardiff, who actually 3 wins and 4 draws from the last 7, so on a 7-match unbeaten run going back to before the new year. And then Coventry suddenly 3 league wins in a row as well. So 2 teams that maybe aren't necessarily at the right end of the table where they want to be, but are just starting to show a little bit of better form coming into these.
Yeah, look, never an easy game in the Championship for different reasons. Like Frank Lampard just got in recently and done really well. So then players are playing for their future, for a manager. Cardiff have had the good run that they've been on and got them out of the bottom 3, but they're still quite close to dropping back in it. So another tough game. But if we Leeds play like we have been over the last few weeks at home on the front foot with intensity and keep the defensive solidity that has been over the last few weeks, then again, you'd like to think there's going to be more points available. There's not, but you've still got to go out and do it and don't have that lackadaisical attitude if you're not careful.
I think the Cardiff game at home, plain sailing for me, but the away one, Frank Lampard's got bigger things to worry about than the game. It's the Leeds fans going there to give him grief. Because there's history between the two of them. And I think we'll be going there in full voice, obviously for the players, but just to give Lampard as much grief as we can.
Guys, thanks so much for your company here in the studio tonight. Fantastic. As always, not a classic, but a point, hopefully, what will turn into a very important point over at Turf Moor. Thanks for joining us here tonight on Matchday Live. We'll be back with you Saturday for the visit to Elland Road of Cardiff. See you then.
Well, the game's really heating up now. Keeping that energy flowing. Talk about control. Constant, steady performance, no matter the weather. Lovely charge forward there. That was smart play.